Good morning, students. Welcome to the next video of Saving the Gharial chapter. So, it is the time to conclude the chapter. Now, the last part of the chapter is to counter this decline and that for other Indian crocodilians project Crocodile was set up in 1974 by the Indian government with help from the UN. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, we carried out surveys, behavioral studies, and captive breeding. We reared thousands of youngsters and released them in protected areas. Sadly, few of these crocodiles survived for long, but we didn't know why. Now, what happened? As their number was decreasing, it was declining. So, for that, the Indian government started a project. It was named Project Crocodile, and it started in 1974 for the conservation of crocodiles. And throughout 1970s and 1980s, they conducted many surveys, they many studies, and they started captive breeding also, so that they can increase the number of gharials. Uh, their breeding can be done safely. And after doing that, they had released thousands of youngsters in protected areas. But after that also, they released thousands of uh, gharials in the protected areas. But after that, only few survived. The reason, they don't know why that number, the survival number was so less, but only few survived. For example, the beautiful Scotia George in Orissa appears to have everything a gharial could want: fish, sandbanks, protection. Threats such as bamboo rafting and net fishing have been eliminated, yet only 2 of the 700 gharials released here in the past 3 decades have survived. When I visited the George during the monsoon in mid-July, I saw how small streams had become torrents. Now, as the Mr. Whittaker said, that we have released thousands of young crocodiles in protected areas, but only few of them survived, and that for that he is giving example also, that there is a Satkosia George, which is uh, for captive breeding of gharials of crocodiles, which is in Orissa. So there is everything, all the facilities are there. Their fishes are there for their food, sandbanks are made there, protection area is there, and bamboo rafting, net fishing, everything is prohibited. Whatever type of environment a crocodile will need, that is there. But after that also, their survival is not increasing. Till now, they have sent 700 gharials in the past 3 decades, means 30 years. In the past 30 years, 700 gharials have been sent there, but among that 700, only 2 have survived. So the reason, they can't understand, they can't find out the reason, but this is the data. When I visited the George, and uh, when Mr. Whittaker, he went there in mid-July, he saw that how that is the protected area is decreasing day by day. The river had eroded the banks and uprooted trees. The released gharials were obviously being flushed downriver out of the protected area and even into the sea. One was seen on a beach, others in mangroves and ponds. Those that ended up in tributaries were caught in fishing nets. So now they got one reason, that was that as the river uh, as the river was there, the trees were uprooted, so the banks were eroded. And that's why it is obvious, if there will be no boundary, then the gharials will, as the water is flowing, they will also flow with the water, and they must be being flushed down river, and they were coming out of their protected area, and they can move to beaches, to mangroves, some ponds, means they were seen everywhere. And if they will not go there, then they ended up in being caught in fishing nets. So these are the reasons why only 2 out of 700 have survived till now. Fishing is a massive problem. In supposedly protected areas, we saw several gharials whose snouts had got tangled in nylon fishing nets. It was clear that despite the rules, nets were being set at night, entangling gharials that tried to swim through them to attempt to eat the netted fish. The crocodiles didn't drown, but they were left unable to open their jaws and thus in danger of starving to death. Now, fishing is a massive problem uh, for the gharials. How? Like that there fishing is prohibited, but still the people go there and at night they just fit the nest net there so that they can catch the fish. And gharials they don't are not aware of that and they go there to eat the fish. While eating the fish, they get tangled into the net and their snouts are covered. They can't open their snouts. It gets tied with the net. So they don't die because of that. But if their snouts will not open, they will not be able to open their jaw. And if they will not be able to open their jaw, then how they could eat? And as they can't eat, so the reason of their death is starving, as they get caught into the nets of the nets. They are tied for catching fish, and that's why they die due to starving. Many times, many crocodiles have been found in which their snouts were covered with nets. Clearly, though the gharial is not in as much danger as before, our 30-year strategy of captive breeding has not been enough. The species faces an uncertain future and its survival is closely linked with the needs of the humans dependent on the rivers. Now, for 30 years, they devoted a lot in captive breeding, and this is the reason that now the number of gharials has increased and they are now not much in danger. But this will continue till when they don't know, because we know humans need their greed, they never end, so that depends on humans only. Our campaign is part of a much large effort to ensure the survival of these rivers. The threats from development, pollution, and climate change increase day by day, but we are hopeful that people are at last ready to do what it takes to save the Gharial, the finest example of a healthy river. So, their motto is something more, something bigger. So, what is their motto? They need rivers, clean rivers, so that Gharials could survive. But this, but because just thinking and saying can't work, people need to understand that as this earth belongs to them, it belongs to other species also. And if they will learn, then they can leave the river water clear, clean, and healthy. And if it will be healthy, then the gharials will be able to survive, and then they will not be in danger, and then they don't need any captive breeding also. So, this much was there in the chapter. I hope you have understood the chapter very well. That's all for today, students. Thank you.